looks like we've got our room here with us. Welcome everyone to another Thursday/Friday Drinks with Nam. I'm Dan from Nam, your friendly neighbourhood Nam, and we have Chris Barnes here with us from Field Office. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Yeah, as I said,
Great.
yeah, been a busy week, etc. But
Yeah. And are you
yeah,
still working from home, or are you getting out and about?
we actually went back about 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Started going back regularly, and then we're on Brunswick Street, Fitzroy, and they started tearing up the road on Monday.
Oh, right.
And,
God. Okay.
so our studio is full of noise and dust. So we're
Oh, God.
back at home
Oh, no.
this week.
Far
But
out. Well, yeah, that's not a
yeah,
not a friendly welcome back to the office. But
yeah, but I mean, anyway, I mean, we sort of, I guess this whole kind of lockdown thing has made it a lot easier for us to work from home, I guess. And so we were kind of only going back like 3 days a week anyway, and
right.
sort of enjoying, 1 or 2 days at working from home, and
Mm.
yeah, kind of just been doing that a little bit more this week.
Yeah, very cool. Oh, yeah, it's nice that we can start to move around a little bit again. And yeah, I hope you guys haven't been hit too hard with the coronavirus. Do you have any projects go on hold or anything like that? Or
Yeah, we had a like maybe 2/3 of our jobs go on hold,
mm,
uh, and but then I think that was sort of in that early phase where people were like, okay, what's going on here?
mm.
And then sort of maybe in the last 6 weeks, most of those have come back.
Mm.
Um, we still have a fairly bigger job that we won in sort of February, January,
Mm-hmm.
and like a big winery project, and that's basically on hold indefinitely. So
Okay.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, just one of those ones, I guess, where you just have to be patient and
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Mm.
I think, I mean, we do sort of 75% resi and then sort of 25% sort of commercial food and bev.
Mm. Mm.
And we're finding that, yeah, the food and bev industry has just been hit harder than anyone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, until there's more clarification as to what's going to happen, it's just like they're just on hold. So they're just trying to stay alive, let alone invest, a couple of million
Yeah.
dollars in new
That's
cattle.
right. It's
Yeah, so
yeah,
mm,
just one of those things where at the moment they're sort of like, well, we sort of probably should be putting that money into people at the moment rather than property. But it's hopefully it's one of those things that JobKeeper helps a little bit, and soon it'll come back online hopefully. So yeah, it's
yeah,
just in
yeah.
time. Mm.
Mm,
Cool, mate. Well, before we get cracking, we should probably just have a little. I'll just do a little spiel on our sponsors who keep this endeavour going. So, the first of our amazing sponsors who have been really great at showing the love to new architects for a while now is the wonderful people at MADA, Monash University Art, Design and Architecture faculty. They're just doing a cracking job. Those guys doing everything they can for their students. They're helping out all of their staff as well as best as they can, who are also trying to do as much as they can for the students with teaching via Zoom. And it's just been such a hectic time for education, and the people down at MARTA have been just taking it in their stride and rolling with this sort of new endeavour of education. So we thank them for supporting us. And yeah, if anyone knows any people from Monash, you should give them a pat on the back because they've been doing an awesome job through this really difficult time. And the other sponsor that we have is the wonderful people at Hames Paint, the wonderful local paint people. They are just so good and so helpful. If you ever have to talk about paint for any kind of difficult paint needs, whether it be for colours or for the application and the type of product that you need to use, get on the phone or send an email to the people at Hames. They're so helpful, and they're just such a wonderful bunch of people who will follow up and send you emails and send you samples. And yeah, they've just been wonderful for us, and yeah, we know that they'll be wonderful for you. So thank you so much to the wonderful people at Hames. All right, guys. Well, we should have a little look at some of the images you wanted to show us. So before we get cracking on that, did you want to have a cheers to a Thursday/Friday drinks? What have we got there? With beer? It looks like a beer to me.
It is just a beer. I chose a beer because in a glass, it's meant to be a pint glass, but it's just a
Still
glass.
classy. Still classy. Yeah.
Only because I still haven't been to a pub yet, and I'm craving it, and so
Yeah. It's good. Bring the pub to you. All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
There you go. Right. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about field office for anyone who might be out there who's sort of first being introduced to you. Tell us a little bit about your office and the sort of work that you do. I mean, you mentioned you do 75% resi with 25% kind of hospitality, food and bev. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we've been around since 2014, I think is when we started off. And it started with basically myself and my friend Nick, and then he left and it was just me. He went traveling overseas and then decided that was more fun than running an architecture practice. And then we've slowly grown over the years to be, there's 4 of us at the moment. And yeah, as I said, I mean, we sort of focus sort of mainly on residential, but then we've made a shift in probably the last 2 years towards doing, I guess, some more hospitality type work. We find that really enjoyable. My background prior to starting practice, I was working at BVN Architecture, and I worked mainly on public projects with a little bit of residential. So kind of flipped it a little bit more on the public sense, you know, less public, more resi, but really enjoying having that balance, I guess. And yeah, I mean, we really like sort of that mid to high end residential work. We sort of really focus on I guess sort of really well crafted spaces that are sustainable and just sort of really stand the test of time. You know, we're not that big into fads and things. We really like just sort of robust, enduring architecture, and that's why we started the practice, and that's why we're still doing it in 2020. So.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. And it's really great to see that you're also doing some work with Jean from Winter Architecture. Is that
yeah, I see a little pixel name up there somewhere. Yeah, we used to share a studio together, Jean and I, and I'm not sure, you know, we actually sort of, my wife and I picked up the practice and lived in Bali for a while in 2017, and so some of the work that we got in that time we collaborated on with Jean and her practice. And I think yeah, actually I've got some images which I'll show when we get to them, but
yeah,
it's almost finished. So that was 2017, that's 3 years later.
Yeah, right. There is just, you know, it's very interesting with some projects, you know, they should take 12 months, 18 months or something like that, and then they just blow out to 4 years, 5 years, or even more sometimes. So
yeah.
All right, well, should we have a look at the first project that you wanted to show us?
Yeah, sure. I haven't got a screen, so do I need that thing?
No, it's all right. Akila's got your back. So we've got a lovely photo of you and a smaller person.
Yeah, so that's me, obviously, the one on the left.
Left?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's my daughter, Orla. She just turned 2 actually on the weekend. So that's basically it's a very dishonest portrayal of my work for I guess the lockdown. A little bit was done at the kitchen table, but I've actually got a studio set up. But
nice.
Orla, I did spend a lot of time with Orla coming into the room and opening the door and going, "Daddy's working." Daddy's making houses.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's been such a massive challenge for parents everywhere who've had to, you know, go home again and spend so much time with the kids whilst also trying to keep their practices working. You know, so how did you go sort of balancing that out?
Yeah, I mean, look, it could have been a lot worse.
Mm.
I mean, all is great. I mean, we actually, and sort of explains in another slide, we actually just moved to Eltham literally at the start of February, and we'd been living in North Fitzroy for the past few years. And
Mm.
well, I've been living there for basically on and off for 12 years. And there's tiny little terraces. And yeah, as luck would have it, we moved out here, and
Mm.
just having all the space and a big house just meant that we were able to kind of deal with, because I've got two kids and
Right.
having them run around, etc. It was just, yeah, I don't know how I would have done it at the last house.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
amazing. Like, yeah,
yeah.
what having just a little bit of extra room, I guess, can do when you've got the kids at home all the time, and also you all the time. Not just in the evenings, but also for doing all your work and finding good space to work, but then also sort of holding their
Yeah.
hand through their games and
Oh,
classes that they have to do and everything.
absolutely. I
Mm.
mean, we did, as I said, we had some work on hold, but I mean, we had a big project that was sort of had started around then, and it's not like we had nothing to do. Like we had a lot to do during
Mm.
that time, and it was so you're balancing of, you know, trying to do all those things, and then you got kids, and then you have lunch, and then but yeah, I think the biggest challenge was just being able to turn off, and
Mm. Mm.
at the end of the day, being able to say, okay, that's my workday done,
Mm.
and not be kind of like drawn to go back into the studio, you know,
Mm. Mm.
after
Definitely,
dinner.
definitely. You've got to call it at some point, don't you? You have to,
Yeah,
put a barrier up. Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. So we saw a quick glimpse of, I think, two of your staff members. Is that who we've got coming up next?
Yeah, that's Nick and Ash. Nick lives in Richmond. Ash lives
Mm.
in North Carlton, and yeah, just more proof that we were working during this time.
So everyone did go back to their respective homes, and you managed to make that work, which is really good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was fine. I mean, we chatted, like we use Slack. I don't know if you know Slack, like
Mhm.
just chatting a lot throughout the day between us, and plenty of phone calls and you know Zoom meetings, etc. But for the most part, it worked out really well.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's really good. And yeah, it sounds like it's really great that you guys are starting to reconnect again just a few days a week. It's going to make a big
Yeah,
difference. You probably won't even know yourselves again when you start to work in the same space.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All
Um,
right. Well, what have we got next? Have we got a project coming up next? Oh, we've got
uh,
Oregon.
yeah, the reason I put that in is just to. I was going to talk about living in Eltham, but I kind of did
Mm.
that, so
Okay.
we can move on.
It looks like a beautiful garden, though. Beautiful setting to
Well,
work from
actually,
home.
yeah. I one of the things I do really like about this area is just like these sort of 70s and 80s, that heavily inspired modernist houses from
Mm.
and from there's sort of like there's obviously the Alston Knox, who very prominent in this area, but
Mm.
there's a lot of sort of builders that used architects and had these kit homes, and
Oh, right.
um, yeah, and we've got one of those, and it's yeah, I mean the value in these homes is incredible. We really love the detail. They do get really cold. They're very poorly insulated, but I guess
Really?
from a proportional spatial point of view, they work really well.
Oh, that's really great. So they're working really, really smart. They're very smart homes, I guess.
Yeah, in some sense, it still needs to be. Yeah, the thermal aspect is needs a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's been really nice walking around and seeing these homes.
Yeah, nice. I guess people just back in the day used to wear more jumpers. Probably
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on. Okay, so it looked like we've got one of your hospitality projects coming up next. So, tell us a little bit about this. What are we looking at here? It looks beautiful.
Yeah, so this is a project. This is one of the ones that went on hold in sort of the first week of COVID, and then maybe like 3 or 4 weeks in, went off hold, and they were just like, "Ah, stuff it, we're going to do it."
Great.
So um, yeah, it's basically a redevelopment of an old tote building at the Moonee Valley Racecourse. So
Ah,
so they've got a building. It's built in the late 1800s, and this image doesn't quite show it, but you can sort of see through the contemporary sort of looking thing. You can sort of see that there's a raked roof internally,
mm,
and it was the first. I believe it was one of the first buildings built on the site, and it was used for people taking bets with the horses, etc. And basically, they're turning this building over to more of a public building and giving the council a bunch of land. It's a part of a much bigger project, but
mm,
we were fortunate enough to win this in collaboration with Samantha Eads Design, who's a food and bev interior designer,
okay.
and so. I mean, our role in the project was really the extended pavilion and all the works to the existing building.
Mm,
And yeah, a major part of the brief was really opening up one side of this building, particularly to the north
mm,
and where the sort of public park area was going to be. And they wanted something that was clearly of its era, so modern,
mm,
um, uh, use of materials that clearly differentiated from the existing tote building, which is yeah, as I said, like gable roof, terracotta tiles, very vertical, narrow
mm,
windows. And yeah, I mean, I guess the challenge with this project was really trying to do something that was sympathetic in terms of like very light features that weren't too dominating, but still very contemporary. And so that's why we chose. It's got a lot of black steel,
mhm.
particularly the glazing,
Mm.
and yeah, and then the exposed brickwork. So we're
Yeah,
really excited about this one. I think they'll be sort of finishing up at least the base build by August. So that would
that's
be
really great. So I'm guessing that the brick is sort of referencing some of the other buildings around this area, and then the would you say the steel and sort of glass and things like that, like those are the more modern elements of this building?
yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
There's certainly like the language of the brick is certainly picked up elsewhere throughout the
mhm,
site. But you'll see sort of, I mean, particularly with like the curves and some of the detailing,
mm.
it's far more contemporary, I suppose, in its language than anything else on the site. And I mean, that's deliberately done to sort of create that separation.
Yeah, nice. And so when you say that this is going to be given over to like it's more like public land or given back to the public, will
Hmm.
this primarily function as just a cafe restaurant when there aren't races
Yes.
on, and this is something that will sort of start off, um, people taking ownership of this site when it's not used for races and training and all of those sorts of things.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to be used separate to the Moonee Valley, so it's technically not on their site. So it'll
Hmm.
be used as a cafe and restaurant
Right.
throughout the week, and then yeah, I guess when they do have events and things, there'll be spillover and people using it, but
Hmm.
essentially a separate entity.
Very cool. And I mean, in the front of it, well, in the front of this picture that we're looking at, moving around to the right of it, is a road or path. Is that like a bike path, or is that a driveway? How does that work
Uh,
in with the building?
that's a walkway. So there's a walkway that kind of goes around through to, I guess, the internal part of the racetrack, and
Okay.
that stretches up and through the public park. There is a bike path, but it's actually
Mhm.
on the to the left of screen. So
Right. Oh, that's really cool. So is it really kind of pedestrian and bike centric?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's great.
Um, yeah. So
Oh, very
yeah, I
cool.
mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no people in this image or whatever, but
Mm.
we anticipate it. Lots of families and kids playing in the park and that sort of thing. So
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
we
That's really
like to
great.
sort of
Yeah. So it's sort of allows people who are going to be going to the park to potentially even like extend their time in the park. You know, like if they were only going to go there for a little while, they can go and refresh and get ready, and then they can, and you know, go to the toilet and everything, and then they can just stick around a little bit longer. So it's a really great building that can make the actual landscape work a little bit harder because people are going to stick around.
That's the plan.
Cool. All right. Well, have we got some more pictures of this one, or are we going to be looking at?
I think there's a couple on the site, so that's just one.
Great. So this is in construction right now.
Yeah. So this started on site like I think March, April. So and they've been moving full steam ahead. So yeah, as I said, I think they're going to reach lockup by August, which
right. Okay. Very cool.
4 or 5 weeks away, I guess.
That's so good. Yeah, that's not far away at all. So
no,
and I mean we're looking like at a curved wall at the moment. Have we got one curved wall here, or are there a bunch of other curved walls throughout the building?
There's a few. There's this one to the north, and then there's an added pavilion to the other side that does not the same, but it ties in.
There's just something about curved brick walls at the moment, isn't there? I mean, there's just something about they've been around forever, but there's just something about them, isn't there? They're nice to look at. They feel nice. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly this sort of setting like lended itself to it because, I mean, first of all, really trying to open up that entry area to a pedestrian area. So, and there was something quite harsh about the corner. And I should point out, like beyond that are toilets and the bathrooms and things. So it wasn't a very engaging, I guess, facade as such. So, yeah, but I mean, I guess on a broader level, like, I guess anything that, you know, like there's something, obviously brick is quite a monotonous and robust material. And by adding the curve to it, it's like a subtle gesture, but it's something that sort of, it keeps what you're trying to do with the brick, but it also, I don't know, it just softens it in this way that
totally. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. Like with bricks are always going to sort of look and feel heavy, and for some reason, you put a curve, use a bricks for a curve, and then all of a sudden the bricks feel kind of loose. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you still have the order and you still have like the detail, which is still has to be exact. So I think that's where the nice play comes into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you can't freeform it. You have to still follow the rules.
That's a really good point. Like just because you're starting to use curves with them doesn't mean that the rule book gets thrown out. Cool. So do we have some other pictures of the construction?
Yeah. Yeah. That looks warped. But yeah, that's just I just like the photo, like the brick. So anyway, you can keep going.
Okay. So is this on this project, or is this a different one? This looks different.
It's a different project. So
okay.
This is one that we're doing with Jean. It's a new 4-bedroom home in Elstonwick.
Very nice. Well,
yeah.
Before we talk about this one, it seems like you're a really keen collaborator. How do you, or why do you choose to collaborate on with other people on so many of your projects? I think a lot of people would probably take a 4-bedroom home and think, all right, yeah, I can handle this one on my own.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, so we were quite small. It was really just me in 2017 when we won this project. And we actually, my wife and I, went and lived in Bali for 3 months as kind of like a bit of an experiment to see if we could like still work, but live remotely. And then, yeah, we kept winning work.
So working with other people, I guess, helped you to keep everything moving, keep the documentation happening.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, at the time,
with the clients on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, Jean's practice was quite small as well. So it was like, hey, let's work on this together. And we'd actually done a competition the year earlier, and I'd got a lot of good feedback for that. So we knew we could work together, and yeah, it just seemed to work really well. So yeah, we did that with 2 projects with Gene, and then the last one, the Mooney Valley one, that was with a interior designer
Hmm.
um, who actually were approached. So they specialize in food and beverage, and they do a lot of fit outs. And then sometimes they get work where, like that one, where they need an architect, and so it's a it's a full collaboration basically. So
It's so good.
yeah,
And it was really lovely to see the two of like you and Jean in the design motive video. I think about this project actually.
yeah,
So yeah,
that's
it'd be
cool.
really great. So if anyone's interested in seeing, this project in even more detail, you can go to the design motive and see that video, which is really great with both of you talking about the same project.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and when you're small and you're sort of in your early days,
Mm,
like the opportunity to do those things work out really well.
mm,
We're a bit more established now, so and we obviously have more, so we haven't sort of put the call out for anything like that
mm,
recently. But who knows? Things do change.
mm. Yeah, very cool. So we've got two almost contrasting but complementary images here. What have we got on the left and right?
Okay. Look, I must sort of put a disclaimer. So I put these together pretty quickly, so there's no like hidden narrative in all of this. But yeah, this is the house in Ellesmere. So this is one that, as I said, it's a 4-bedroom home.
Mm,
It's a week away, we're told, from practical completion.
very cool.
Um, and yeah, it's just really exciting that it's almost done, because this project has been on site for close to 2 years.
Mm,
um,
mm,
been one of those ones which has had some real challenges. We had the builder who, I should say, has done a really great job with the work that he has done.
mm, mm,
He sort of about halfway through the project, had to, for financial difficulties or whatever, he had to go get a job elsewhere, and so he's been running this project on the side. And
mm.
as I said, he's done a really good job considering, but it's been quite a challenge, particularly for the client. And yeah, we're sort of a week away, so, and all the joinery is going in and the final fix and everything. It's really exciting.
It's really
Um,
great. So in with what we're looking at the moment, we've got some Besser block and some timber on the left, and then I sometimes confuse old school cork with terrazzo. Now, is it terrazzo?
it's not terrazzo; it's a porcelain tile, but
Oh,
um, it kind of looks a little bit. Uh, but no, it's a beautiful tile, and cork on the walls would be quite nice, but
mm.
it's
I mean, if you
but
got
maybe not in
cork,
a bathroom,
if you
which is
got cork that sort of looked that color, you'd probably be a bit grumpy.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Cork these days, you get some pretty funky colors, but
Well, that's very true. Mm.
but yeah. Look, there were just some quick snaps from my site visit last week,
Yeah,
and
no, it looks beautiful.
yeah, it's
Mm,
funny. We one of we took the client early days to the Heidi Gallery, and they just
mm.
loved the original building there, the composition of materials. And I mean, we'd already designed this, and we were trying to sort of get them over the line, I guess, as to I guess the visual um, aesthetic, I guess the composition of the simplicity of the materials, and I think
Mhm.
yeah, that certainly got them over the line.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's really exciting that it should be finishing up soon. So yeah, congratulations on that. Yeah, if it's only 2 weeks away from practical completion, then it's practically done. So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
good luck with that
one
one.
week one week
Yeah,
away.
awesome. So what have we got next? Is this a different project, I think, from memory? This looks
Yeah,
different.
this is a different project. This is one that we've been working on earlier this year. This is one of the ones that went on hold.
Mm.
It's a winery.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's so I can't go into too much detail with it, but it's just one of our nice images. So I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
some yeah, we did quite a lot of work looking at rammed earth as I guess the primary material, and
Mm.
this sort of has some harsh western sun, and so
Mm.
we created these blades of rammed earth, which obviously you can't see in the full context of this image, but yeah, it provides shading, but it also sits within the landscape in a really nice sort of subtle way, I guess. And
Yeah, beautiful. Are we able to know what I'm guessing it's in Victoria, but what part of Victoria it's in?
it's in Mornington.
Mornington, lovely. I've always found rammed earth like just so beautiful and stunning, and like there's just so many things that I like about it. Are there any difficulties that you've found in? I mean, if it's already documented and it's going to start on site, have you sort of learned a little bit about any difficulties that you might have to, or random things that might come out of the actual fabrication of it when it's being put together?
To be honest, not yet.
Okay, yeah, because I guess I was looking into it, and like the beautiful stratification, like the different layers that you can get. I remember,
Yeah,
someone saying to me, like it is something that you can kind of plan, but then also kind of not. Like there's going to be a little bit of surprise at the end when you pull the formwork off. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I've never used it. I have used it on a previous project when I worked for BVN years ago, and yeah, I mean the whole beauty of it is like you just don't get any sort of areas that are exactly the same. You get that sort of organic change, and just the visible layering of it is just
Mm,
such a, I mean, to me, it's such a beautiful kind of tactile experience, and you
mm,
can kind of walk up to it and rub your hand over, and you feel it, and you feel those layers, and
mm.
um, yeah, each element sort of tells its own story.
Yeah.
So
And for the actual clay and material they put into the walls, are they going to have to bring something in from elsewhere, or is it something that they can get from the site?
I don't know. Good question. Good question.
Yeah, I thought.
So
Mm,
the last time we used it, as I said, like this is a long time ago, it all had to come from elsewhere. So,
right.
and,
Okay.
and from memory, I remember exploring the idea of using it from our side. I think it wasn't feasible, but
Mm,
obviously that would be something we'd be absolutely pushing for if we can in this scenario.
mm,
Um, yeah, I mean, this was just a sort of concept design early days, and then it was
mm.
just put on hold.
All right. Well, do we have any other photos of this particular project? Oh no, we're just another house. Beautiful. So where's this house?
So yeah, this one is in Thornbury,
Mm,
and we're just sort of powering through documentation at the moment. Um, yeah, we're fortunate enough to pick this one up, as I said, right before sort of COVID-19 did its thing, and
mm.
no town planning, so it was just like full steam ahead. Um, and
So what does that mean? So for people who might be watching, who when you say no town planning, what does that mean?
basically, it means that the size of the site is large enough so that an extension or alteration doesn't require any town planning permit to
Mm,
proceed, as long as it sort of obviously, you know, meets all the res code requirements. So,
great.
yeah.
Cool.
Mm,
Thank you. I'm just
yeah.
trying to, what I'm working on is that we've had some feedback that, there are some people who will watch or listen to the podcast or come to a NAM event and they haven't really been exposed to too much architecture. And we sometimes mention things and we don't elaborate on what they mean. So I think there are a lot of people, who don't realize that you can actually even get a building permit and start construction without even going to council. So yeah, that's really fortunate. So is this for a family with a few kids? I'm assuming from the children who are in
Mm.
the image.
Yeah, absolutely. Not their kids; they're just randoms. But yeah, this was yeah, a family of five, I believe, and they're sort of chopping off the addition that probably happened, I think, in the 70s or 80s, and yeah, building really fortunate site. I mean, it's completely north facing, and nice big fat block with double fronted Victorian house at the front, and yeah, we obviously going up as well, and they're huge modernist fiends. I guess they're very much into the thin proportions and large windows and just those kind of very simple but elegant outlooks. So sort of what we've tried to achieve here. Obviously, particularly upstairs with the timber battens, there's something quite contemporary about it. Those battens also provide overlooking screening because you've got big yards either side of the property, and yeah, and it's probably not clear in the image, but there's a big carved out courtyard in the middle of the site as well. The and I think this is kind of probably helped by COVID, but there's a really beautiful study on the other side, and I think the emphasis on that study being designed in a particular way became more and more prevalent as the project went on. So that study now overlooks a really beautiful courtyard, and which is nicely vegetated, and
beautiful.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's awesome. And is there, I guess, it's interesting that you sort of talk about that with a sort of modern, but also sort of modernist influences. Do you have sort of, do you really lean towards modernism in what inspires you guys?
I mean, from a personal point of view, absolutely. I mean, and yeah, I mean, certainly has its drawbacks, in some senses, but I think just I mean, you probably have a look at a lot of our work, and I think we've done like 2 projects that have a non-flat roof, certainly, like, when I started doing architecture and I studied architecture, my heroes were all from that era, and I think once you sort of go down that path, it's hard for it to leave you. That said, I mean, we're always trying to create our own voice, and so I mean, the things that I look at when it comes to modernism is, I guess, just the sort of the rules that you create within a building, and sort of using those rules, overlaying those rules almost with every decision you make. So it's the proportions and the alignments, and you sort of, once you sort of create those parameters for yourself, you're sort of constantly considering them across whether it's like a smaller window, or how the kitchen pantry is lining up with the fridge or the bathroom, or all these sort of things. But I think it's really important to kind of still use those parameters that you set yourself, but be willing to kind of move beyond, I suppose, something that's obviously completely outdated and too derivative, I suppose. So,
well, I guess that there's, in any kind of architectural style that happened, I mean, there were still good things. It wasn't all bad. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, I'm huge. It's a huge influence to me. And I guess you're just trying to sort of marry the things that you love, and those, as I said, like those parameters that you really enjoy, but applying them to your own experiences and your own learnings. And
yeah, very cool. Okay. Well, the next image looks like it's kind of a product kind of thing. What have we got next?
I was just going to end on this image, and and this isn't a plug. This is just.
Oh, I thought you just started your own brand of tea. That's what I was trying to lead into. Tell us about your own brand of tea.
Yeah, so I guess the reason I threw this in here was because it kind of is our own brand of tea. My wife and I started kind of as a side project a couple of years ago, a green tea, or basically it started off as organic tea, and it was all about, I guess, creating something that was the best possible green tea that we could find, and heavily influenced, I suppose, by I guess our love of all things Japan or Japanese. And yeah, so we sort of set it up as a little side project, and yeah, it's just something that we've done after hours, and where we can here and there, and it's really evolved now. And I guess this time with COVID has allowed us, being at home more, it's like a lot more conversations about like we could do this and this and blah blah blah, and it's just nice having like a little side thing that's not architecture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's called Parlour Tea, and you're welcome to check it out. As I said, it's not a plug. This is just a little background as to what we've been doing. I must say that it's far more of my wife's hard work than it is mine, being, doing full-time FOA.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a really nice little break from all the work that you sort of. It's a completely different sort of field, particularly from a marketing perspective. So all of that's been really fascinating.
Yeah, well, I guess any projects that you can work on, will always inform you and your life and the way that you do your work. So nothing's ever wasted. So I'm really interested when you say that you wanted to find a really pure kind of green tea, or the purest green tea that you could find. What does that mean? Can you tell us a little bit more about the purity of this tea? I'm very interested.
Look, I guess it sort of comes from the fact that there are a lot of green teas out there on the market that's obviously non-organic, but also sourced from different areas, and I guess not sort of, single origin as such. And we did, and particularly my wife did, quite a lot of research on the green tea region of Shizuoka in Japan, which is one of the main sort of growers of green tea, or procurers of green tea, I should say. And we sort of went down that rabbit hole, which is like a huge rabbit hole. I mean, it's like anything, you start discovering one thing and then you start discovering another, and all of a sudden you realize just how I guess the tea that we drink typically and that we find in the shops is so far removed from the stuff that comes out of this region, and that I guess many of the connoisseurs like to enjoy. So we saw a real opportunity to try and bring that here and create our own little label.
That's fantastic. I mean, so if I was to drink your green tea, there are some days where I'll just chuck in a bag of Tetley's green tea, and then there are some times where we'll get some green tea that my wife's spent a lot of time finding at markets around Melbourne. What would we notice would be the difference with the green tea that you guys are putting together?
Well, I mean, the key is that firstly it needs to be brewed properly. So
oh god. So what does that mean? So it can't just boil the kettle?
Boil the kettle and dunk it in. No, but we make it very clear on how it's done. But I guess in a similar way to many other beverages, and I'd include wine and coffee. even whiskey, there are just notes on the flavors that are different with every type of green tea, and also the way that it's procured and where it's from exactly, and even like what harvest it was. So yeah, obviously there's an appreciation that you sort of need to be prepared for, I guess. And yeah, I think it's something that if you enjoy fine things and enjoy sort of reading and learning about green tea, then yeah, hopefully you would find by enjoying some of Pala, something along those lines, like, a really nice experience.
Yeah, nice. So it's a little bit more of a ritual, and also like slowing down and doing things the right way. It's sort of got a whole thing to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that we've found is just, particularly with COVID, it's like you really appreciate those moments where you get up from the desk and, whether it's by yourself or with your partner or your kids or whoever, but you sort of have these little rituals that you look forward to. And yeah, I think a good word for it is slowing down, just noticing those little moments.
Absolutely. I think it's just through NAM, spoken to a lot of people who either are architects who are looking for a hobby or thinking about a hobby and wondering if they should jump into it and if it would be worth it, or they might have even left architecture to do something that they really are passionate about. And I think that anything that you do that you're interested in, as long as it doesn't impact you in a negative way or make your boss upset with you, it's I think anything like that, it will really can inform your practice. It can inform you as a person. It can inform lots of things. And yeah, have you found that? I mean, you mentioned that during COVID, going through the ritual of tea or other kind of things during the day, have you felt that your practice has also started to go through processes that are a little bit different because we've had to slow down a little bit because of coronavirus? Or yeah, how has it sort of impacted your architecture world?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, if you're just to look at it in terms of your day-to-day, I think I think that one of the things that you're sort of always trying to do, I think even prior to COVID, is, you always have this thing of like, okay, when things slow down or when things aren't as busy, I'm going to do this, and in an ideal world, I'm going to have this amount of time to be able to do this stuff, and it's going to be great. And yeah, I think personally, anyway, I mean, you can create the perfect timetable and the perfect sort of ideal everything, but ultimately, like, things will never be perfect, and you can create the most robust, perfect timeline of how you want your day to operate. But particularly in architecture, but not exclusive to architecture, I just think that life isn't like that. With what we do, I mean, we're reacting, we're putting out fires and that sort of thing. Even when the days that the phone doesn't ring and we have a nice, sexy project to sketch out all day or whatever, like, there will always be things that we can't control. But what you can control are the little moments. You can control the times that, the rituals. You can control, hey, I'm going to do exercise today, or I'm going to spend an hour with my wife, or I'm going to do this. And I think that's kind of something that's certainly become more important to me, because I have been able to sort of have the days where the phone hasn't been ringing as much because things have been quieter. And as I said, a lot of our work went on hold. But it didn't change the fact that I still had heaps to do, and there were stressful things, and there were non-stressful things, and there were banal things, and there were staff things, and that's life. But if you can sort of find those little moments in the day, I think that goes a long way. And I think that's a good kind of metaphor for life in a way. Like, you can't control everything, but you can try and make those, little rituals where you can.
Absolutely. It's all about that balance, right? It's
Mm.
finding, what you can manage and what brings you joy, and what pays the bills is sort of all has to be balanced out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Well, it was really, really fantastic talking to you, Chris. It was really great to have you on the podcast. We're really excited to
Oh,
see your
right.
projects, and we can't wait to see more of them being finished off. And hopefully seeing all of your projects on Arc Daily and Design, and getting out there. So thank you so much for joining us, and we would love to see more of you in the future.
No, I really appreciate you having me. Thank you, Daniel.
No worries, mate. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us for another NAM Friday Drinks with NAM on a Thursday. It's been really awesome having you all. Thank you again to our sponsors, Marta and Hames, for making this possible. Just remember that we're all out there, and I think coming to the Friday Drinks with NAM is always a really great way of doing that. We're still all around. So take care of your mates, take care of your family, and thank you so much for joining us. And Chris, thanks so much for the awesome work. You make it really easy to do this, New Architects, because it's really great getting to talk to people who do great work. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Have a good one.